Sorry. Oh, 1 minute left. We will start at 8:01. Let the people join. Okay, we will start the session. It is 8:01 and people are joining. So, meanwhile, hello everyone. Good evening from India. I am Shikha Singh, volunteering as Vice President Professional Development at PMI Mumbai chapter. I hold a BE in Production Engineering from Mumbai University, Green Belt in Lean Six Sigma, and PMP certified from PMI. Professionally, I am working at LRQA Inspection Services India LLP at Mumbai and having over 18 plus years of experience in operations of inspection services and right now handling global projects. So I welcome everyone for today's PM pit stop session. And today's registrations are 239 plus and counting. So people who have registered and or their friends have registered and they have not got the link, please check your spam folders. The mails can go there also. So PM PITSTOP provides a platform where subject matter experts and project managers from many industries share their experiences and demonstrate the usage of various tools and techniques in the real world. And today's topic is mitigating attrition through purpose-driven leadership, retaining top talent in the AI era. Very favorite topic for me, and the speaker to present this topic is Mr. Kamal Soan. He's a life and leadership coach, speaker, PMO executive, distinguished Toastmaster, and process champion. He has 18 plus years of IT industry experience, including executive roles, distinguished Toastmaster, as I told you, DTM, project management professional at core certifications, volunteer over a decade. ICF certified life and leadership coach is specialized in IT professionals and leaders. His LinkedIn profile has been shared in chat box. Please connect with him. And please keep posting questions in the chat box and same will be answered as soon as possible by the speaker. Recording of this session will be posted on our YouTube channel, PMI Mumbai chapter, in a couple of days. So keep looking at that. And so I request Kamal to start his session, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Shika, for the warm introduction. Hello, PMI Mumbai. Thank you so much for this opportunity to be part of this session and be a presenter for this particular topic, mitigating attrition through purpose-driven leadership, retaining top talent in the AI era. It's very important to understand as we go through this presentation. This will be an interactive and workshop style presentation. So if you have a pen and a paper or a Word document, anything that you can access, it will help you, to assess yourself, retrospect yourself as we move forward in the presentation. All right. With that being said, we'll quickly move on to the next. Usually, I encourage people to, just go through the house of rules, but I think Shika covered that. Feel free to turn on your cam because making it more interactive is helpful if you can. Feel free to post comments as we go through the presentation so that we can make this presentation more lively and interactive and not just more like knowledge sharing session. And finally, questions will be addressed at the end of the presentation. So feel free to post your questions, and then I'll request Shika or anybody else to help me out with the questions that have been posted through the presentation. All right. She briefly went through my overall career, so I'll skip this slide and we'll move forward to the next one here. But if anybody down the line would like to connect with me, feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn or email or WhatsApp. Either way is fine. As you have seen the topic, attrition is at a high rate because a lot of people are feared about how AI is going to impact, the way of how we work in our different areas of work, whether let's just say project management, operations management, leadership level, whether you're a manager or an individual contributor. My goal through this presentation is that there is purpose in what you do and you realize that and how you take it forward so that everybody is enabled and understood that you are a born leader. For example, recently I was in a present discussion with one of the PMI chapter meeting, and then at the end of the presentation, the person said, "Hey, I'm just a project manager, and I can just take the message forward." I said, "Let me correct you. You're not just a project manager. You are a decision influencer," which means to say everybody who's on this presentation is a decision influencer for their career, plus a decision influencer if you're reporting to a manager. Whereas someone, if you are playing the role of a manager, then remember you are a decision maker, but also a decision impact maker, which means to say the decision you make impacts the people who report to you. Either it can break their career or make their career. So think about in a dual way. If you are a manager, wear the hat of how your decisions impact the people that report to you. And if you are an individual contributor, think about how you can use this knowledge in this presentation to talk to your manager, to your leaders. Remember, when you speak, you are making a difference in your career. No one else can make a difference in your career unless you speak. So, what I would suggest through this presentation, make as much notes as possible, be part of the polls, assessments that come through, and make it lively for you for the next 1.5 hours so that you gain knowledge through the presentation. Okay. As we look into it, AI has been the topic for all about, last 2 years after the pandemic, chaos has completed. But what is in it for you? Like everybody is feared about AI is going to do X, Y, Z, right? But how are you going to take advantage of how AI is going to transform the landscape? Imagine there is a forest nearby your house, let's just say, and there has been a real estate development that is quickly coming through to erase the forest. What can you do to get into the understanding that it is eventually going to happen? But how are you going to modify yourself to the ever changing landscape so that you feel comfortable rather than being worried about what's happening? So we'll look at the real reasons that where the seismic shifts are happening in AI and what is that you can do about it. Then followed by, we'll understand what is purpose driven leadership. So when you look at leadership here, remember you are the leader here. You don't need to be a manager to be a leader. So think about it in both ways. People who report to you and yourself as a leader so that you can drive your career and everything that you do through this topic. And then as a certified life and leadership coach, I will be presenting a coaching framework which you can use in any aspect of your life, leadership, career, whatever it is, so that you can use it, whether it's attrition, retention, anything else. Okay. And then we will do a couple of assessments called the Wheel of Work Life, and then followed by using that knowledge towards the next steps of the framework, followed by this surprising element, AI versus AI. Everybody knows AI as artificial intelligence, but I have come up with a concept which is also an AI. So let's explore that side of the coin too, with the knowledge you have gained through the assessments and see how you can connect to that particular point of AI versus AI. And then finally, leadership has been there for decades. It's not something new. It's been during the time of Ramayana, Mahabharata, and any other epics that have happened in this country, right? But during AI era, how do we transform that leadership, and what are the actionable steps you can take to ask your manager or as a manager bring that knowledge to the team? And finally, to wrap it up, a quick slide to summarize everything and give you as a snapshot so that you can use it as a takeaway. All right, now that we have quickly gone through how our next 1.5 hour will be, what I would do is quickly go and ask you guys in, put a quick comment or something that you really think is the root cause for attrition due to AI. I know everybody's feared about AI is going to do, transform everything. It's going to remove, effort that we will do. It will automate what we do. We may lose jobs. What would be my title? But according to you, what is the root cause for attrition due to AI? And if anybody else is thinking what is attrition, attrition is basically losing people from your organization. What do you think is the reason? Go ahead and put in the chat a comment what you think is the root cause. Let's see how close are you to the reality. Shika, can I see everyone? Is that in the chat? Okay, do not have. All right. So Srinivasa says, do not have AI skills. Sharat says, not embracing AI. Tejas says, not using AI to accelerate results. No upskilling, which is a good point. Anybody else? Anything that you see? Not ready to accept the impact of AI. That's an interesting comment, Anuj, which is really good actually, because you know how fast the realm of AI is sweeping and how the organization is adapting is also a good point. Okay, now that we have heard few comments there, let's really look at what the real reasons are, and do you have something under your control to look into? So let's take a look at that and see how things are. If you really look at this, different reasons why we have attrition in the market is companies are relocating because they want to move where the business is happening. Businesses are closing because one of them said that they're not, the organization is not able to adapt. But if you really look at all the possibilities of all these 14 here, if you can read, this is the only one which is under your control, which is skill mismatch. Now, is there a way you can take any action if the project has been canceled? Not really, because it's a decision of the business. Is there a way you can do anything if there is market corrections? Not really. And there was also a fear that there was overhiring that happened during pandemic. And we all know that. There will be corrections that will be happening. But it has also been brought under the bucket of AI. Now, how true is that, right? The main purpose of providing this particular image to you guys is to understand that out of 100% of changes or attrition that are happening during AI, it is only the skills mismatch that is in your hands. Rest everything is not under your control. So one of the best ways you can bring things into control is to stay aligned with your skills and match according to how it is. But does only skills take you to success? Is that what is always the case? So we will be prepared, in addition to skills, how to move forward and make you more successful. But as you pointed out in the chat and many other factors, and one of the discussions I was having is without the knowledge of what is the real reasons behind the layoffs, everybody seems to be under AI transformation stress, right? You talk to someone and they say, oh my God, that I might lose my job because there is AI sweeping in my organization. But why is the fear in place if you know how to automate in the work you do? Let's just say, for example, you are a project manager or an operations manager. There is a concept called toil automation. Have anybody heard about it? Anybody close to site reliability engineering or any other concepts? Or let's just say, in general, what does toil mean? Toil is nothing but a manual effort which you repeatedly do and an AI can automate it, which means to say every organization wants to decrease the amount of manual effort you do. Basically, to say AI will help you transform from hard work to smart work. That is something to understand. So the fear of automation is there, but how do you adapt from being hard work to smart work is something for you to think about. Skills being outdated. Exactly, right? The amount of skills we do for manual repetition is different the amount of skills you need for smart work. So something for you to think about. Now people are stressed out because these are the factors that people are worried about. What does it mean as a project manager? Let's just say if AI sweeps into things. Constant technology shifts. Yes, you hear Copilot one day, you hear Claude one day, you hear Chat GPT the other day. How do you constantly keep into consideration of all these different agents. And now the organizations are building their own agents. How do we keep up with this, right? And then lack of reskilling pathways. One of them mentioned about, unable to understand how to reskill myself. This is something for you guys to think about. Like all these questions are there for you to think about. And what we'll be doing is through the presentation, trying to find answers of where you are, what is going on in your own AI journey, and how do you find a path towards leveling up to the success out there. All right. With that being said, what is in it for you with AI? Now, recently, Global Economic Forum shared that by 2030, there will be 92 million jobs displaced. Now, everybody is worried about the red number there, but have you focused on the blue number? Is that AI will also bring in 170 million new jobs. It may not be the same jobs that you have traditionally seen, but it will bring jobs. Now, the goal is how do we align to the net promotion of the 78 million jobs that will be created? That's the question for you. So turn your fear of automation to turning to upskilling towards how do we align to the need of the hour. Now, we spoke about fear of automation again. Every organization out there sees that 40% of any job can be automated. I was talking to Shika in the backstage. She mentioned she works in operations. Well, you can automate in operations too. Why not? There is a repetitive activity that happens every day for operations too, right? So any job can be automated 40%. The real goal is how do we align and mature towards the 60% in any and every job we do on day-to-day basis. And finally, the most impacted, area of work that has been predicted with a high score of 57% is software development. We all know that software development guys are paid heavily, but the point is they have the highest impacted. You see the AI development bubble in the blue, that is now actually inside the software development, here. It is part of the software development, but as the, you know, journey continues towards 2030, the AI development will be only a portion of their role, which means to say seismic shift of their role will happen through AI development. Now, the question for the emerging software developers, your friends, I know most of you are project managers on this call, but you interact with software developers every day. Remember, you are a decision influencer. You are a coach for your team. You can influence and tell them, hey, how are you preparing for this seismic shift through the presentation you are hearing here, right? So that is something for people to think about. I hope this relaxes the nerves of all the project managers on the presentation here that you are not in a territory where you are highly impacted with AI. So remember, AI can generate summaries, AI can, give lots of information, but AI cannot make a decision. The human has to still make a decision. So let's continue the journey towards the next direction here. So as I said, all the project managers out there, AI will not replace leaders, but you are a leader. If you don't use AI to grow your people, there are people out there, leaders out there, who are using AI to replace those who don't, right? So let's just say, for example, I'll just pick myself. I have done nothing in AI until I attended this presentation. Your clock is starting now. You can start now. You can use the knowledge to start on AI journey today. Remember, we are talking about 2030, which is 4 years from now. If you haven't taken any action until 2030, well, the answer is in the journey, right? No action, no vision, we will end up in situation where the impact is natural, right? So the goal is for this presentation to provide the purpose, that motivation, and the direction that you yourself will be writing down as we move forward. All right. Saying so, there is a quick poll to start with, and I'm going to turn the poll on here quickly. You can use the Slido to use that and help me. What is the main reason that people leave the organization? You can either scan the QR code or go to Slido and use the code to help. What is the reason you think that people leave the organizations or their job that they so lovingly do on day-to-day basis? All right, let me know if you have facing any challenges with the poll. We'll quickly get to it. All right. All right. I see the information flowing through. Let me bring the poll here quickly for everybody to see. All right. So far, we see about 12 votes, and the leading indicator and is lack of career development or advancement and poor leadership. Close to so far. We'll take one more minute for this poll, and I'll help people. All right. I think that gives you a clear understanding of where things are, because right now you see lack of career development or advancement is where people seem to tend to move towards. Now, ask yourself, today you are an individual contributor, but tomorrow you'll become a leader or a manager. You know the reason why people leave the organization, because there is lack of motivation from the person you report to. Is that what truly empowers you, that you want to motivate others or people you work with, or you get motivated, right? If you really look comparison with AI, this is nothing to do with AI. It's more to do with human understanding here. And that's what McKinsey also came out with. Top reasons why, the people leave the organization is because they actually do not want to leave, but there is no choice actually. Let me just remove this one if I can actually. Okay, anyways, it seems to stay there. But as you rightly see here at the top, you know, lack of career and development and advancement is number one. As you guys rightly said, about 6.5% ranking was given to that. McKinsey has found that 41% of people have rated that's the reason. Next one is the financial aspect, inadequate total compensation. Remember, no matter how much you love your job, financial aspect is key in what you do and a key motivator. Agreed or disagreed, right? Next is uncaring and uninspiring leaders, which people pointed about. 4.67 ranking was given to poor leadership, lack of inspiration from managers, and the last one is there's no purpose in what you do. You have no idea what you're doing. You have no idea how it's helping the organization. You have no idea where is the organization even heading to. There's no purpose. There is no roadmap. So if you can clearly see that all these top reasons are exactly what you're talking about, is people have no direction. Same goes with AI. Things will get automated, but if you have no idea what is the organizational roadmap towards AI, you're completely lost, right? That is the reason why people are leaving jobs. And the reason will remain still the same. You're just adding a factor called AI on top of it. All right. Now let's look at the next aspect of what we do. How do people stay in an organization? Now that you spoke about people leaving the organization, what do you think is the reason people stay in the organization? What do you think influences people to stay in the organization? So the poll has been activated for you guys. Take a look at it and answer the question. Which of the following would most influence your decision to stay or leave the organization? Retention is staying in the organization. Attrition is leaving the organization, if in case anybody hasn't come across these terms before. Just an FYI. So we'll see what is the reason people stay in the organization. And I like your interaction, guys. Keep it going. And I promise there is one more poll and we are good to move forward to the core of the discussion here. Okay. And again, these polls help make the presentation interactive and also listen to the voice of the, as we say, the voice of the customer, the voice of the attendee, right? So far, we see organizational culture staying on the top. How are you treated, basically, the organizational culture? Compensation and financial package, the second one. Opportunities to advance, sense of belonging, and company ethics. All right. I think this group as such is very matured because you guys are in the midst of the information and the surveys and everything that has been done. So you'll be surprised with the answers you have given. I'll wait for 1 more minute and we will move forward. Okay. All right. So the top ranking that was given is organizational culture, how aligned I feel with the values. And that's what exactly McKinsey has come up with. Is 80% of people feel every day matters at work for them. And it is very startling that even if there is a one really bad day at work, 80% of people would like to change their job. Now, in the audience, there would be people like, yeah, that's me, because you are giving your heart to the organization. When someone mistreats you or disrespects you or doesn't see connection in what you do, that is exactly what people will be working towards. And repeatedly, if it happens, it is making you drive towards leaving the organization. So if in case you haven't voiced this to your manager yet, or if you are a manager, connect the dots. What does it mean for the work being done as part of your team? How does it matter on a day-to-day basis? The next thing is employees favor ethics, which means to say, when you work hard, when you put in the effort, you feel the natural tendency to move forward in the organization. But the question for you is hard work the only way you can move forward in the organization? That we will talk about as we move forward in the presentation. Company culture matters too, as it goes in the same line of what we previously discussed, is how you are treated, how you are respected, how you are shown in the organization, and how you are put in day-to-day discussions. And inclusion and diversity is very heavy in North America. I'm actually currently based in Atlanta, USA, even though I'm giving this presentation to PMI Mumbai. But inclusion and diversity is very important because we want all sorts of groups to be involved in all sorts of discussions, because more diverse the people are, more diverse the discussion is, right? We don't want the discussions and the decisions made in one direction towards one particular group, right? So inclusion and diversity also matters. Now, each of them are not decision makers, but each of them are decision influencers in how you make the decision, right? So think about it in that way. And then finally, we all have been talking about the title as, the purpose driven leadership. What does purpose mean to you in your organization? How does it look for you? So, one final poll, and we should be off to our topic here. So, I will start the final poll and go ahead and, you know, select the one you think. Is purpose clearly mentioned in your organization? Is it being discussed with you? Is it being discussed at the leadership level? Or is it just a facade for the branding? And organizations do that. For example, there are organizations where they are training the people. About 41% of organizations now have put budget for reskilling people into AI. Now the question is, how much are those skills being used for actual work, or is it more for branding and stock price? Right, you have to think about it. So in that aspect, what do you see purpose in your organization when it comes to your work and the AI that is rolling out on day-to-day basis? It's good to see that people clearly see the integration at work as of now. That's the top one getting selected. Here it is. We'll wait for more votes because this is a very critical one to understand how the audience here feels about the purpose. Okay. All right. I think we have good, number here. I think what we are saying is purpose is being discussed at the leadership level, but not well embedded. That's exactly a common theme that happens when you are in large organizations. Let's just say you are in a startup, everything is discussed top to bottom. But when you're in a large organization and you are part of it, this exactly is a common trend and not a surprising one, because all the decisions and discussions happen at the top and the information doesn't trickle down. Now, what do you do to get to there? Like, how do you even understand where the organization is going? And that's exactly hits the nail on the topic, is that leadership is great. They're talking about the purpose, but I don't understand, right? But why is it important to understand the purpose? Because recently, PricewaterhouseCoopers or PwC has come up with a survey. There is a seismic difference between how an individual thinks and how business leaders think. If you really see in this graph, 83% people feel there should be meaning in day-to-day work that they do. It's like, I walked in with coffee and I walked out with a snack. That's not how the work should be. What I do in between should make sense to me. That's what they're saying. There should be a strong sense of community, which means the people you meet, the leaders you talk to, everyone you engage on a day-to-day basis, you should feel connected towards what you're doing, not just work, but also the people you work with. And the final one for an individual contributor is energize knowing company impact. Now, how will you even understand if you don't know the purpose? It's like all the team members are going to first floor for a meeting and you had no idea what the meeting was in the first floor. You ended up staying in the seventh floor. You enjoyed the work. You knew you were part of the community. You knew your work was being impacted. But if you don't know the purpose, then you're completely lost, right? That is exactly the point here. Understand the purpose in everything that you do. But whereas for the business leaders, for them, reputation of the organization is key. Distinction and differentiation, which means how do your organization do a great job versus your competitors. That's competitor analysis. And finally, the third one that they see is day-to-day work. So you see how vast difference that number one is what number three business leaders look at. Now, how do you bridge the gap? Is by talking to your leaders and making sure there is the purpose-driven approach. And what does that mean? Finding personal meaning in their work and fostering deep committed workforce. Now, someone in the audience may say, I'm just an individual contributor. How do I even make my leadership, talk about it? And that's what you'll be working on as we move forward is the steps you take is the needle mover for you and your career and your team that you're working for. And why is it important for you to understand the purpose? Is because when people know the purpose, as per recent quantum workplace survey, people have higher engagement and productivity by 2.7 times than the normal productivity that people show. It's like you have drank a Red Bull or a Monster or whatever energy drink that's out there to, really energize yourself and put that best effort 2.7 times than normal work that you do. Why? Because you're motivated, right? That's the core message here. When you know the purpose, when you know the direction, and when you know where you're heading to, you'll be motivated. It's like five friends going in a car. The manager or the leader is driving the car, and the rest of the four people in the car have no idea where they're going. Do you think people will be motivated or will they be energized of where they're going? Not really, because they have no clue where you're going. But imagine everybody in the car knows where they're going, they're planning for it, they're excitingly contributing towards it, then everybody is enthusiastic about the journey ahead. See the contrasting difference between a car with no knowledge and the car with knowledge, right? So that's exactly what purpose driven leadership is all about. Now, why is it important for a leader to be purpose driven? And which means for you also, is that in a recent survey by Association for Talent Development, if there are HR friends in this call, you would associate with that Association for Talent Development, is that 90% organizations expect managers to coach. Now here, coaching doesn't mean sharing knowledge. Coaching means to empower people they work with asking questions towards being that lighthouse or a motivator to move in their career. Remember in the first poll we did, seven people said that the career development and energizing people to work towards their career is what truly motivates them. And that's what has been supported by the next survey by Better, which means to say they gave a sample size of people that they would double their salary if they want to, or if they want a supporting manager who would coach, which means to say motivate, energize them, and be that person to keep them going. And you would be surprised that 80% of people said financial aspect is only until one point. We would like to have a manager who supports us in our career development. Now, the question to you is enable your manager to be your career developer, and you enable yourself to be the champion who enables that, right? So when you speak, things happen. When you are planning towards the direction that needs to happen, how often does that happen? So think about it. And how would we doing that is by using this 5-step model of coaching. Surprise what that is? Basically, the first one is assess the situation. Of course, we'll be doing the assessment in next slide, so don't need to worry about any action to be taken at this point. This is more of an overview at this point. Assessing the situation is understanding where you are in what you truly are doing. Is to say that, okay, before I jump the gun of AI, let me understand where am I in the AI journey. Now that you understood that by 2030, there will be about net of 78 million jobs that will be created. Of course, there will be a displacement of 92 million jobs too. Now, how do I be part of that 78 million, which is being rebranded through AI? That is the assessment of the situation. Once you assess the situation, everybody's journey is different. Let's all accept that. Person who is sitting next to you is different in where you are. The person who is listening, part of this audience, about 100 people are on this call. Everybody is different. Everybody's ideas are different. So understand and appreciate to generate your own ideas before you talk to a leader. And the third one is develop an action plan. There are areas where you excel. There are areas where you need help. Differentiating that will also help you to excel in what you do. And finally, if you're a manager or a leader, or if you're an individual contributor, make sure you get constant support. Because, you know, let's just say you go to a movie like Check the India, you get motivated, but you don't take any action, then it falls flat, right? You need to take action and then have the constant support of motivation so that you excel in what you do. And finally, follow up, whether it's one-on-one with the manager or anything that you do, follow. So coaching is all about looking yourself from where you are to where you want to be. And the person who plays the role of a coach, it should be like a mirror who enables you to excel in what you do. That's the reason of all about purpose-driven leadership is to be the enablers rather than disablers. And I'll tell you a story about a question that was asked to me sometime back in the Q&A session of, let's just say, if there is a leadership style, who doesn't listen? We'll come to that later in the presentation. So first step for you to assess yourself, if you have a paper and a pen or a Word document, either way is fine. This is called the work wheel of work life. And the point here is to assess yourself on where you are in the organization and how does it even relate to you. For example, let's start with variety. Are you given variety of work that you get excited in what you do, or are you given monotonous work that you walk into everyday job and just do the same thing and move forward? So on a scale of 1 to 10, rate yourself. What would you put a number here? Now again, there is no comparison here. A 7 for me is different than a 7 for you. So truly rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10. What would you rate the situation for you? Where are you in variety? How variety is your work? How different is your work in what you do? Whether it's related to AI or whether it's related to non-AI, what you're doing. The next thing is growth. Is there growth in the work you do? Or is it just no promise, no action, nothing of sorts that you don't see any light at the end of the tunnel? On a scale of 1 to 10, what would you rate for this? And as I go through the circle, I hope everybody puts a number so that you understand the picture once we review the whole wheel of work life. Next thing, remember in your AI journey, your colleagues are also important because let's just say you do a skill assessment in what you do. Your discussion with another colleague will also help you in understanding what's also out there that you can enable yourself, right? So how are your colleagues on a 1 to 10? And you don't need to put in the chat, just an FYI, sorry about that. Put it in a Word document or a paper that's in front of you. This assessment is for your own personal use, not for everybody else's to look at it. Okay, sorry about that. I should have told that before. So put a number for variety, growth, colleagues, and workload. Next is workload. Are you being bombarded with too much work, or are you being given the right balance of work? Where are you in the workload? The fifth one is autonomy. Autonomy stands for, do you have the decision making capability for the work you do? Or are you always being thrusted with, this is the decision we need to make and this is how you need to work? In a shorter form, to ask you, do you have the flexibility in the work you do and the decision making that you need to do? The sixth one is opportunities. Are you being given opportunities? Let's just say if the organization has started the AI journey, can you be part of the group wherein there are opportunities for you to be a early adopter for the new opportunities that are coming out there? How is the organization adapting you or your team or anybody that you are associated with? Seventh one is environment. No matter what you do, whether it's AI or non-AI, if the environment is bad, no matter how good of flowers you put in that environment, it's still gonna stink, right? So how is your environment of the organization? Put that on a scale of 1 to 10. And finally, income. New skills need new energized approach. If the price is the same, you wouldn't be energized. So are the organizations even talking about that? And what do you see from income perspective as we do this shift towards AI or in general? How is your income? Or how do you envision the income to be as we move forward? Now, for those who must be wondering, why do I even need to put a number? Well, based on the numbers you put, you clearly see what is the strong areas for you in your work life that's happening right now, and what are the areas of development that you need to work on. So if in case someone hasn't put numbers yet, I would encourage you to quickly put them as we move on to the next step of using this information. So take that time before I sidestep to some other, assessments and things you can use to assess the situation. The next one to understand, and no action required for this one, is known as 360 feedback. I'm sure you must have heard about this, or if in case you haven't heard about it, 360 feedback actually helps you understand how people perceive you. See, for example, when you do one-on-one with your manager, a manager always has their lens of feedback that they provide you. But to understand a true picture of who you are, do a 360 feedback with people you work with, the leaders you work with, whether it's onshore, offshore, APAC, EMEA, whatever it is. Reach out to them and ask them, hey, I would like to understand how my work is impacting or how my work is helping or how am I being envisioned. Remember, when you get feedback and use that feedback to work on yourself, that's when you are growing in your leadership journey. So I would encourage people, if you haven't done this, take step towards doing that 360 feedback. Next one is DISC analysis. DISC analysis stands for dominant, influence, steadiness, and conscientiousness. What does that mean? Is that everybody in this room, when I say room in this part of this presentation, 100 plus, remember every personality is different. There is no right or wrong. It's just that we all operate in a different way. Some have high D, some have low C, some have high I, and some have low S, which means to say that we all operate in a different way. It's like our DNA. Everybody has a different DNA. Not everyone has the same DNA. So when you do DISC analysis, you appreciate what is your personality, and then you work based on that personality to understand yourself as the people who work around you. So if in case you haven't done your DISC analysis, I would encourage you to do so. Now, quickly, I know recently the ICC T20 World Cup completed, so I'll just give you a quick example of how DISC analysis stands. When you see dominant people, they always are focused on end result, which means I need this to be done. They always want the control in place, which means to say someone who's always in front of the camera. I mean, in traditional times, I used to say Virat Kohli, but now his dominant culture has come down, which is good, in a different way. The next one is influential, which means like people who have the leadership calibers like Rohit Sharma, who is always there to build relationships, who's always there to inspire people, who's always there to make sure that everybody around them are in a safe zone. The third one is steadiness. You go to this person in your team, no matter what the situation is, they are always like the temperature control. They make sure that the whole team calms down when it comes to them. In cricket, you can say this is like Rahul Dravid. You throw 100 balls to him, he's going to defend 40 balls and make sure that the situation is calmed down when the wickets are tumbling down on the other side. So you should also have people who can calm down the team's situation. And then finally, conscientiousness is like Bumrah, who can, showcase their skill, but they're not in front of the camera. They're not like relationship building people. They're confident about what they do. They're like the SME of your team. They know who they are. They don't need to showcase their skills. So the reason why of an explicit explanation here is that when you understand who you truly are, then there is a needle movement that you need to do to make sure you assess the situation. And finally, if you want to do deep further dive, you can go further for something known as Gallup-Clifton strengths. Every human being is classified by 34 characters across different segments. And when you know your top 5 or top 10, strengths, for me, it is positivity, includer, achiever, who, and enabler. When you learner, sorry, a learner, then you know that you can use those results to discuss with people. When you meet with someone who's a who, you can easily connect with them. When you know you are a positive person, you know that you can make a difference. So all these tools that you see here will help you understand much more better than what you know right now. So using the information, back to the assessment here, using the information that we did here in this particular tool, let's go to the next step. Now we spoke about assessing the situation. The next step is generating the ideas. Now take one area where you scored very low, like, let's take that as our goal in this particular aspect. Write down what is your goal for that particular area. So let's just say, for example, I'll give an example. Let's just say someone picked, opportunities, less opportunities or no opportunities. Is that the reality? Ask yourself, what is the current reality in the organization of the area you picked, right? And take this moment to write down on the paper or Word document that you have. Pick a goal, write down the current reality for what you have. And if as we move forward, once you are done with it, just put yes in the chat box so that we can move forward to the next step. Okay. Now, once you know the reality, put a couple of options. Now, why is this slide important? This is not just for this presentation. You can use this information to talk to your manager in the next one-on-one, because you are doing a true assessment of yourself as part of this journey, right? You're writing true reality of what's going on with you. Once you put 2 to 3 options that are out there, then you can talk to your manager and say out of which you can actually do, right? So I'll give you a minute to write down, pick a goal from the assessment that we did, write down what the true reality of the situation is right now, put 2 to 3 options at this point, and then talk to your manager and see what option can be selected that you can do to enable yourself in this particular goal you selected. If someone in the audience must have said, what will happen with this? I'll share a quote with you. Remember, vision without action is illusion, which means you are living in a dream world, right? Which means to say you want to adapt to AI, you want to excel, you want to make real change. But if that's your goal, then what is the reality right now? You need to write down a couple of options and will do. So again, you are taking action, but without any plan, which means you are living a delusion world, which means you are being busy, but not productive. So we want to make sure you take a balanced approach and, plan for yourself so that there is a concrete action that's going to happen. Okay. I hope you all documented towards it. All right. Mitesh, I'll come back to you in the Q&A session. I think you asked me for something explanation. We'll come back to that. The next one, once you have the assessment done, you have the grow plan in there. Next is to develop the action plan. Now, just like the fear of automation, a lot of people think they always need to do performance check. They always need to do some sort of development. But the reality is completely different. In the wheel that we looked at just a while ago, there are about 8 areas. I'm sure you scored at least 4 or 5, which you are excelling very well. And there might be 2 or 3 where you are feeling a little bit low on the score. Talk to your manager about those 2 to 3 areas where they can contribute towards uplifting you in the performance. A lot of times, what happens is people think they need performance check on all the 8 of them, right? That's the myth that happens all the time when we go to one-on-ones or managers talk to their teams, is every time they talk about performance. But if they always talk about the performance, then the areas you are strong on, you need development coaching, right? So use the assessment to ensure which needs to be in performance coaching and which needs to be in development coaching. When you clearly partition where you need help to grow and where you need to help uplifted, that's where you are making a strategic action towards your career, whether it's AI or anything else, right? So as the topic is around AI, ask yourself which areas you need performance coaching, which means where do you need uplift? Where is that you are lacking knowledge towards, right? For example, if you are in, let's just say, manufacturing and have no idea about what AI even means, how about asking your manager, where do you get started? For example, you are in a software development company, a startup that's really crazily booming in AI world. Understand where you are and how you can develop your skills towards the next level, right? You don't need a performance check. You need a development coaching. So clearly partition of where you need performance coaching and where you need development coaching. The moment you change the way you discuss with leaders, you are saying, hey, I know my areas of strength. I need help in these areas. Don't picture me in a way that I need help with everything, right? Otherwise, what you're saying is you're dipping the same bucket in both directions, which confuses the leaders a lot. The reason for this particular action plan is it gives you clarity towards what you need to specifically strategically discuss about. So the area you selected in the grow, put that in one of them. Do you need performance coaching or do you need development coaching? Right? Select that area. And any other areas that you have done in the assessment where you scored low, put that towards performance coaching. And then those areas which you have scored high, put them into development coaching. Because let's just say you are a senior project manager in your organization or an operations manager. I'm sure you want to grow in your career to be an executive, right? You want to be a director or a senior director or a senior manager, whatever it is. The goal towards growing in your career with AI enabled technologies is to talk about them, is to showcase your progress. So then what happens? You have a plan in place, you go to your manager. What do you seek from them? You seek from them continuous encouragement. You want to make sure that your leader is out there to make sure they motivate you. Let's just say you're not getting that support. How about reaching out to other leaders in the organization to be your mentor? How about providing resources for your growth? And here is the biggest thing. A lot of times people think if I, you know, get upskilling or certification or improve my skills, I will achieve what I need to. Well, that's not the true reality. In my coaching experience, I do something known as wheel of leadership. I'll write it down here. Wheel of leadership. And one of the areas is about network, relationship building, and personal branding. How many of you really focus on networking and relationship building? Remember, you are the personal brand ambassador for yourself. You need to first open doors for yourself and remove obstacles that you're facing. Let's just say you cannot, then extend and reach out to your leaders and ask, hey, can you make a connection for me? Can you talk to someone who can help me enable what I am trying to do here? Right? So ask your leaders to make that connections so that you can grow in your career as well as your leadership journey. All right. And the last one is communicating regularly, whether it's a leadership opportunity or AI opportunity or anything that we move forward, if you don't communicate, nothing happens. So communicate regularly, communicate to people you're working towards, communicate to the connections you build, so that what happens is people know who truly you are. If you don't tell your story, no one knows anything. And then that's what needs to happen between a manager and a team member. All right. And finally, how do you approach everything that's happening is by either being directive or self-directive. The understanding towards this particular action is that sometimes you need guidance, right? The manager will play a mentoring role based on the time, the criticality of the situation. Let's just say a project all of a sudden turned red and the client is on back of the manager. The manager cannot be in a situation where they can coach you, right? They need to be your mentoring or making sure the needle is moving. But let's just say there is a situation where you're learning a new tool. The manager doesn't need to trust on yourself, right? They need to, make sure they know that they can have your back and you can do that, which means to say, hey, I see there is an issue in this tool. Instead of saying, this is how you need to do, they can ask you a question, did you figure out how to do this? When you see the difference between a direct and a self-direct, direct supports you, self-direct motivates you. And this is a style of switch that everybody needs to adapt to, because what happens is every time when we approach a problem or a solution, we always put everything in a directive approach. ऐसा ही करने का. That's what we end up doing it. But when you adapt the self-directive approach, right, you are creating that future leaders to make sure they are motivated towards the direction they can take for yourself. All right. So the assessment that you have done, that you have put in performance or development coaching, that you would be reaching out to your manager, clearly ask them, do you need mentoring from them or do you need coaching from them based on the time and criticality of what action needs to take? All right. I hope it was valuable so far of the 5 steps of the coaching. Let's do a quick check time. It's good. Okay. Finally, we all have been talking about AI, right? AI is nothing but artificial intelligence. Everybody is feared about it. What does it do? It transforms the technology with adapting fast approach towards enabling the tools and automating things that we cannot control. As you have seen the real reasons of attrition in AI. But it's going to automate, it's going to improve our productivity, and it's also going to cause disruption, but in a way that there will be more jobs in place. But you, as the leader on this call, what can you do? Everything that we did in those 5 steps, I'm sure you learned a little bit about yourself, where you are, what's going on in your situation, and what's happening. And that exactly is what I call as attachment intelligence. Improve your intelligence to your attachment, whether it's your career journey, intelligence, leadership journey, or AI journey, whatever it is. When you are attached to your journey, you are more confident in how you project yourself in front of your leader, who is the decision maker, right? Bring that human connection to your purpose, to your team, and the mission you are on. And it applies to the organization too. They need to bring the human connection to purpose, team, and mission. If metrics were everything that would drive the decision, then the organizations are not providing the purpose and reskilling that needs to happen, right? That the human connection will not go even whether AI is there or not. So my purpose through this presentation is worry about AI, but don't worry so much that you lose your sleep. Improve your connection towards the purpose, where your team is going, where your organization is going, and make it your mission to excel in your career so that you actually increase the engagement of how you work, which means to convert yourself from being hardworking employee to a smart working employee. Then it will lead to your retention because you're engaged in the conversations that are happening in the organization, and your loyalty towards the organization automatically improves, and you are valued as a key contributor towards the work that's happening. All right. So the word to remember is attachment intelligence. Improve your attachment intelligence towards the things you do. That's also an AI, right? Now you must be wondering, is it really true? Does that happen? Like, when someone is truly purpose driven, attachment intelligence happens. Yes, it does. There is a true case study there. And it comes from none other than a company called Microsoft. In 2014, when Satya Nadella joined Microsoft, the stock price was literally tumbling for the organization under Steve Ballmer when Bill Gates left the organization as the CEO. Satya Nadella, with his empowering, purpose-driven approach and customer satisfaction journey, he actually improved the employee engagement by 40%. Now, look at an organization where the employees are engaged 40%, which means they clearly know the purpose and the roadmap of where the organization is going. And what does it mean? The annual attrition rate has come down to less than 7%. We're talking about an organization where the average attrition is 13 to 15% on a month over month basis. He has annually brought it down as an average to less than 7%, which means to say that people really enjoy working under his leadership. Now, what does that even state? Which means that 90% of people felt they're connected to the company's mission. This is what an organization needs to achieve through purpose driven leadership, is connecting the dots for the people that work in the organization. And same applies to you too. Connect your dots of where you're going and make yourself that successful person so that you enjoy your journey as well as enable your leadership to help that roadmap. Now, what are the actionable steps for you as a leader in the AI era? Focus on the purpose rather than the process. A lot of times we all focus on the process. If we say when we follow the process, things happen. But the question for you is, why are you even doing it if you don't understand the purpose, right? Focus on the purpose, then the process. Next is invest in empowering yourself, in talking to your leadership to make sure that there is knowledge of development rather than control and supervision, right? Oftentimes there is more focus on control and supervision than talking about empowering and leadership development. If the organization doesn't take steps, how about you taking steps towards empowering yourself and developing yourself as the leader? The third one, be in the adaptable focus mindset rather than stable focus mindset, which means to say, I know what I'm doing, I know what's happening in the AI, but remember there is always a change that happens every turn of the week or a month or a year. Be in that growth mindset so that you don't get swept when a large wave comes through the organization. You're more safe in nature when you're adaptable to what's happening around you. Remember, in the real reasons of AI picture we looked at, there is only one thing that you can really control. That's the skill, reskill aspect. But all the other aspects are more market driven. So be adaptable to what's happening around you and increase your journey towards AI so that you continue to take your skills wherever you're working. And finally, that's what it is, continuous reskilling over skills fixed, right? So here is the summary of what you can take away is how the traditional leadership works and how the AI era leadership works. All right. Okay, what's the key takeaways from the presentation here? Oops, sorry, I went too far here. All right. Provide meaning for yourself rather than just being a task bearer, right? See the relevance, look at the reskilling and purpose of what you're doing in general and towards the AI work that needs to happen. Encourage continuous learning, whether it's for your team or anybody that you work with. Continuously discuss about what you're learning, what they are learning, so that you can build that group of people that you trust, that you can talk to. And if you are a manager, enable this for your team so that they trust, so that they can come and talk to you about what they're learning and how you can be that enabler to encourage them. We all know that there is change out there, and it's not something surprising that the AI changes are gonna happen. They are already happening. Now, a true leadership comes into picture when you are protecting your team in this change that's happening. Create that psychological safety when the change is happening. And that's the reason why you are called a leader, right? You're protecting your team. If the leader is not protecting the team, then the change can sweep anybody. So be a true leader and create that psychological safety during the change. And finally, align people with impact, not just output, right? It's like saying be productive, don't just be busy, right? You want to be that impactful player rather than, being just for the output there. All right. Saying so, the final line of the presentation is AI will transform jobs. There is no doubt about it. but it will not replace the purpose. Organizations which combine technology with purpose-driven leadership will not only survive AI era, but they'll also retain the best talent because the best talent knows the purpose of what they're doing. All right. With that being said, I would like to thank PMI Mumbai for this opportunity and a wonderful discussion that has happened. And we'll turn the presentation towards Q&A at this point. All right. Shikha, over to you.
Yeah, thank you, Kamal. That is a very, very brilliant session, very different actually on the AI topic. So I request all the attendees to please post their question in the chat box and we can start answering. Guys, please post your questions. And Mitesh Jadhav is again asking, please explain the DI part of disk. You are on mute, Kamal.
Sorry. Thank you, Shikha. All right. The DI. Sorry here. All right. So there is an assessment which is called the disk analysis. Okay. If in case anybody is interested, feel free to reach out. I'll be happy to help you out. Uh, what does disk analysis do for you? Which means to say that how you score yourself determines how you operate on a day-to-day basis. Which means to say, for example, for me, my disk analysis score is, I have 6 on D, 7 or 8 on I, 2 on S, and 2 on C. The total comes to 18 in general. I don't remember the exact numbers, but I have high I and second is D, which means to say it showcases that for me, relationships are important. For me, the bottom line is I work through relationships. And of course, for me, the leadership aspect also is important. What does this disk analysis give you is you know how to operate yourself because you understand yourself much better. So Mitesh, D stands for dominance, I stands for influence, S stands for steadiness, and C stands for conscientiousness. I'll give you another example. Let's just say, you go to a wedding or a birthday party or anything, because in India we are very used to going to celebrations, right? So there will always be someone in that wedding who will immediately come and greet you as soon as you are there. Okay. But this person all of a sudden vanishes as soon as they say hi to you. You will be surprised. Like, I just saw him. Where did he go? That's the key D type of a person, which means to say for them, greet and go is kind of a style. For them, numbers are important, which means I met with so many people, I spoke with so many people, and so forth. Whereas I people wait and talk to you. They make sure they build relationship with you, which means they are influential in nature. They make that impact. Now, S is kind of a people steadiness where you're walking around the party and then you meet with them. They speak to you when they start to trust you. These people trust you and then they start to talk to you. And there will be always someone at the back of the wedding gathering who will be patiently sitting without anything that's happening around them. You go and talk to them, they'll talk to you, but they won't worry you if nobody's bothered about them. They are kind of like the conscientious people, which means they know who truly they are. For example, in your teams, they are the SMEs, truly placing this C kind of a model. All right. I hope that helps you, Nitesh. All right,
Okay,
let's see
there
the next.
are some three questions. One is from Ritesh Khatarpal. He's asking, what if the manager is unapproachable?
Yeah. That's the scenario I wanted to talk to you about is that a lot of times what happens is the manager or let's just say the leadership is unreachable or flex towards what's happening, right? Um, I'll give you a simple analogy of how things sometimes change. Is that when I was a kid, there was an aquarium that we bought at home. Okay. We had fishes, and if you guys have aquarium at home, you'll realize this also. Is initially we brought this, every organization starts this way too. Is we bought fish beads and we put the fish beads in the aquarium. The fishes were healthy, everything was fine. But then one day we went to this fish market, sorry, the vegetable market, and then the aquarium guy was feeding them with worms actually. And when I asked him, he said this makes the fishes very go fast, bulls them, they become agile, whatnot, and all that. but he did not tell me the side effects, which I realized it later, right? So when I put the worms in the aquarium, they started to bulge, but they started to bite each other, which means to say that there was this unhealthy competition that was happening in the fishes. Now the organizations are also this way. There is an organization which is healthy in nature where every fish is happy. And then there is this organization where the worms feed at one, where the fishes are kind of competing with each other, biting with each other because they are being encouraged to grow in their appetite for no reason, right? You should ask yourself which sort of organization you are in. You know, whoever asked the question is clearly, you can realize which type of organization you are in. The question to you is whether you would like to continue in that aquarium and get, the whole aquarium muddied and end up there, or you want to jump into an organization where the culture is healthy. Remember, you can change, Y2K era, machine learning era, or any era, or AI era, but you cannot change the personality of the people or leadership that's in the organization. We can only change ourselves. So whoever asked that question, assess your situation. This is exactly what it is. Assess your situation, put the group plan, look at for performance coaching and development coaching, seek support through the provide support step, and finally ask yourself, you want to directly take steps that you already have been given by someone, or you want to take steps towards changing the situation for yourself so that down the line, here we are talking about a projection towards 2030. Down the line, by 2030, you are in a healthy aquarium rather than ending up in that worms muddied aquarium. All right. Next question, Shika.
Yeah.
I hope that helps.
Yes, Ritesh, I think you got your answer. Next question is from Akhilesh. He's asking, how can I use AI as an individual contributor for my team as a leadership tool?
Yeah, I think this is a growing aspect, Akhilesh, is that people are using AI and they're creating agents towards the work they do, right? How you can use it as a leadership tool is you can actually look towards the horizon of new aspects in your work and work towards creating those areas that people haven't researched in your organization. You can be that early adopter leader, right? How does leadership come into picture? It's not about assessments, or it's not about talking about new concepts, right? Leadership is all about showing that direction which people haven't explored. Leadership is all about showing the path where people get inspired towards what needs to be done. So in this question that you have asked, right, how can you use AI individually to be the contributor? Be an early learner for your organization through spending time on, let's just say, YouTube or anything. Talk to people in the area that you live in, of who are those AI people who are using AI in their organization. Connect to people outside your organization. Bring that knowledge back to your organization so that people envision when they say next time, hey, let's talk about AI, you should be in the room. That's how you are a leader in this aspect. Okay.
Okay. Next question is from Nilesh. He's asking, in the assessment model you shared, variety, growth, colleagues, workload, autonomy, opportunities, environment, income, which factors do you believe are most critical in preventing AI-driven attrition?
There is no particular factor, to be honest with you. This is like, you're asking which direction, if I pull a rubber band, will it break? Right? When you pull a rubber band in a different directions, if when you pull the rubber band in only one direction, it will break more heavily, right? The question through this assessment is how balanced you are in the organization you are in when it comes to AI, because this is not specifically that one of these aspects will break, right? It is an equal balance towards assessing yourself. So what I would suggest is this assessment is not about AI. This assessment is about how you are adapting to the changing AI era. Okay.
Okay, next question is
How do we,
from,
how, just a second, let me complete that. How do we prevent it is how balanced you are in this wheel so that you are, what do you say, growing with the trend of AI that's happening out there. That's how you would adapt yourself with this too. Okay.
okay, I think that was the answer. Next question is from Amit. Uh, just a minute. Yeah, Amit, he's asking, do you have any AI tools on mobile or any learning links for project management?
Yeah, I think Um, if you are a PMI member, right, Project Management Institute has come up with 6 to 7 courses. Have you done them? You know, there is generative AI for project managers, the foundations, which starts with. Then there is data related AI course for project managers. And then there are other very specific courses, and all of them are free. And I would encourage all the people on this presentation to go do them, because there are about 6 to 7 uh, courses out there which are totally free if you're a PMI member, and very valuable. I have done 2 to 3 of them, and I'm continuing to complete them, all of them. So go check them out.
Okay,
Okay.
Amit. Yeah. Next question is from Sarang. He's asking, assess the situation after evaluating the present situation. What will be the next firm steps?
Okay. That's a good question, actually. So when you assess the situation we spoke about, you generate ideas, right? I hope you have done that. After that, you will ask yourself whether you need it. You are struggling based on the performance goals of the organization, that you need an uplift by, let's just say, your manager, and someone asked, my manager doesn't even care about it. Then see if you can find a mentor in your organization who can help you with this, or if you can find a mentor outside your organization who can help you with this, or you can reach out to a coach like me who can help you work on these things. So there is a different degree of how you approach, towards what you want to be successful. The point is to take action rather than just documentation. Do you see that difference there? So once you classify yourself, you have already reached 50% clarity, because now you know where you need help, where you excel in what you want to excel in your career or AI or any journey. After that, it's all about looking for support continuously and working your way through excelling in the area you have chosen. Okay. So the next steps would be acting on what you want to and refining. It's like, the engine. You work on starting the engine, you refine the engine, you do the oil change, because you have to keep the engine healthy. Same is with this. Is you work on what you want to, get the feedback, continue to work on it and improve as you move forward.
Okay,
Okay.
next question is, we have two questions from Anita. First one is, in part where we have to access the situation, what the total that we are looking for, which is ideal for us to move ahead with our goal in that situation.
Okay. I understand where this question is coming from. There is no total here. Let's start from there. Okay. Let me first wipe out everything here. This assessment is to help you understand how the situation is in your organization and in your aspect of work you do. So the goal is to identify the area you need to work on rather than total the whole count here in the assessment. Okay, I'll repeat again. The goal is to identify where you are struggling rather than totaling the whole count of the assessment. Okay. So when you know where you're struggling, you can talk pinpointed towards what you need help with. Oftentimes what happens is we combine everything, and then, you know, one-on-ones or discussions with leaders end up being a confused state of discussion because we haven't very specifically spoken to them. And then how do the leaders gain confidence on the people they're talking to? Is they always gain confidence because a person who has clarity towards what they're doing, the leaders envision themselves as someone they can reach out to, right? The overall goal of this assessment is gain clarity towards where you are excelling and where you need help. Okay, I think there was next question too. How
Yes.
does a leader? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. How does a leader pushes a reportee which who is not tech driven or AI driven to adapt the technology?
I think you already answered the question, but I'll repeat the same thing here, which means to say that the situation itself is there, right? So the point you are mentioning is, the person is not really AI adaptive or not even technology understanding, which means to say that you're saying that the environment is non-tech associated, right? What you would do is take that aspect and then go here, and you would say the goal is to make them, you know, tech enabled, right? That's what you would do. because the reality is right now that they are not tech enabled or AI enabled. Now, the question for you or someone who is in that situation is what options that person have that they can work on, right? If it's you, then you would write down 2 to 3 options that you can take to work towards improving that technology knowledge or AI knowledge. For example, someone asked me about are there any AI courses for project managers out there? That's an option, right? You can go to PMI website, do those courses. There are so many options out there. The question is what options work for you, and out of those options, what you can work on so that you grow from non-tech professional to a tech professional to an AI-driven professional. So it's a step-by-step approach.
Okay, next question is from Maheshwar. He's asking, how do we overcome the AI challenge in travel industry?
Oh, that's a good question. I think it aligns to what you asked, Shikha, because you asked from operations perspective, right? So let's go back to the first fundamental slide which we spoke about. Is no matter what industry you are in, let's all embrace the fact that 40% of what we do is, I think it is one, yeah. Uh, Let me go back to that here. Yeah, by 2030, 40% of what we do is going to be automated. Let's all agree to that. How do you embrace what is being automated and what will not be automated is the question I asked back to Maheshwaran. Is have you spoken to people in travel industry of how AI is being adopted in travel industry, right? Let's just say there are people in different industries in this presentation. My first fundamental question is, have you spoken to people who are in the leadership role of how AI is going to be enabled or rolled out in your industry, right? When you speak to the leaders or people who are more knowledgeable about AI in your industry, then you are getting closer to the answer that you are looking for, right? There is no right or wrong answer in what I say, right? The actual answer lies in the experts of that particular industry who are working towards AI in that industry, right? For example, I recently visited a healthcare facility here in US. The initial, what do you say, assessment was not done by a nurse or anybody here. It was done by a computer where I had to put my finger and then it read out a report. The healthcare industry is moving forward in such direction. So my question to you, Mahesh Vartan, is which areas in travel industry automation is going to happen, right? That's the question you need to find the answer to. Okay. How do you overcome the AI challenge? Is by being that early adopter and learning about areas where the AI integration will happen, the 40% in travel industry, so that you are in that safe zone of knowledgeable person that the organization can rely on rather than someone who has no idea what's happening around you. Okay.
Okay, next question is from Anuj. He's asking how to address the situation when your leader is insecure about your knowledge of AI and capabilities.
Okay. This is this is more of a personality question than an AI question, Anuj, because the point is here, and this is not really organizational sort of a question. This is like a human aspect of everyday life. We always come across people, no matter how much you explain, how much you provide knowledge, they still have doubts, right? It's like which aquarium you are in. Are you in the healthy aquarium or the water muddied aquarium, right? So the question to you is like how much time do you have to stay in the situation, right? Because the point is no matter how much you hit to a wall in the cricket analogy, right? You should play in the ground to showcase your skills. But if you keep on playing in the net practice to showcase your skills, it will not go anywhere, right? So the question to you is like, what is your backup plan to the situation that you are in right now, where the manager doesn't even trust you in the skills and capabilities you have? The question to you is like, how can you trust yourself to change the situation for yourself and be in a situation where the leadership trusts and takes opportunity of the skills and capabilities you can provide? Okay.
Okay, next question is from Mandar. He's asking what if IT policy is not supported to share any information on AI platform, and what is best way to implement change in governance to implement AI?
That's a very good question, actually, and applicable for every organization. I'll tell my own experience here, Mandar, is that in my organization, they enabled recording, co-pilot transcript, and everything. All of a sudden, in January, everybody was given a sweeping co-pilot, opportunity experience in January. All right, everybody was excited for it. Everybody used it to the best of the recordings that can happen. Be that facilitator, meeting agent, be that generate the transcript sort of thing from co-pilot and so forth in MS Teams. But guess what? In February, they turned it off for everybody. Why? Because it was like, I'll give you a funny example here. It was like I was having a birthday party in my home, but I didn't realize that I kept the door open, right? Which means to say that there were people in the house in the birthday party without even knowing that the door was open. So that is where the compliance and the governance will come into picture. Is a lot of times these organizations do not want to enable AI tools very fast because you don't know which domain you are working in, especially in regulated domains like financial technology, healthcare, military, and any government associated organizations. They are very critical on these kind of tools because we don't know where the network breach is happening or application breach is happening, right? They have to do all thorough checks to enable them. Now the question is AI on the roadmap as you go forward? If yes, then make connections in the governance of your organization to understand what steps they are taking to enable the AI in your organization, right? As we go back to the point saying upskilling and expertise are one side of the organization. Improving your network and relationship building makes you that smart worker than a hard worker. Okay. I hope that answers your question.
Yes, the same happened with me also. So, next question is from Prasad. He's asking, do usually organizations offer Clifton strengths to their employees?
Very good question. So Prasad, yes, the answer is yes. Um, It depends who has to approve it. In my organization, my manager approves it. And when there is a collaboration between the organization and Gallup, which is the fundamental proprietary owner of Clifton Strengths, they charge very minimal actually. So what I would suggest is go to your TPO, the people office or HR, and ask them what is the process towards if in case you have association with Gallup. If not, talk to your manager and say, hey, I would like to take this assessment to understand myself much better and see how it can improve. But normally, not to discourage you, but this is more on the pathway of leadership. Is there usually coachings for leadership and how to make someone a leader. So what I would suggest first is nominate yourself that you want to become a future leader in your organization and ask them, hey, I want to get trained, and this Clifton Strengths will be part of that training actually. You can take that journey or you can directly reach out to your HR and ask for Clifton Strengths assessment. Okay. I hope that provides both directions.
Okay. Next question is from Sarang again. He's asking 360 feedback is good concept. Can you elaborate the topics?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. And I'll give you an example also. I'm glad, Sarah, you asked about it. Okay, let me go back to that 360 feedback. Here. Oh, no, here. All right. 360 feedback. Why do you need to do 360 feedback? Let's just say, you know, uh, after this presentation, I asked Shikha or Tushar or Sachin, part of PMI Mumbai, hey, how did the presentation go by? Right? In general. And they would say, whatever they felt as part of the presentation. But if I turn around and I ask 90 plus people feedback of how the presentation went, which means to say the feedback is more wide than a subset of what it needs to be. Okay. Oftentimes, what happens is we look at the feedback given by our manager as the only feedback. Make sense? Then what happens is based on how mindful you are, your mood and your energy and your productivity starts to swing. All right. If you're a highly mindful person, very who does mental exercises every day, it doesn't even bother you. But let's just say you are a normal average person where things change based on the stock price kind of a situation, your mood will automatically swing. What does 360 feedback do is it removes that lens of managerial bias of the feedback. All right. Why is this encouraged? Is because it gives you a wide feedback of people that you're working. And I went through this journey, I think 3, 4 years ago, and I'll give you an example of how it helped me. What happened is I was, given this opportunity to go through this 360 feedback. And what happens is that you reach out to your client relations, you reach out to your manager, you reach out to the SVPs or the stakeholders or whoever it is, and you ask them, hey, can you give me a couple of points that I'm great at? Can you give me a couple of points I struggle at? And there are a couple of points which we call blind spots, which means to say that you have no idea. Everybody looks at you are great, but there are also things that we have completely no idea about, but people are talking about it, good or bad way. Think about it that way. One of the blind spots that I got, and as I told you in my Clifton sense, my number one trait is positivity. Okay. So the blind spot that I got from my client relation manager, who was my functional manager at that time, was that this guy walks into every meeting with positivity. It's like as if everything is good in the call, right? So, for example, the project is red. Okay. The project is red and the client is screaming. And I am here positively listening everything instead of reacting towards what the client is saying. So that particular aspect was shown to me by the client relations manager saying this is more of a blind spot. But then you can actually work towards understanding the room. Maybe I was too junior at that time to understand the room. You know, the main essence of 360 feedback is to know things you're not even aware of, which managers don't even talk about, which means to get that wider feedback without any bias, to put it in short. Okay. I hope that helps you in understanding 360 feedback. Okay.
Okay, next question is from Anita again. I think you answered that question, half of it, but I will just read it out again. You
Okay.
think healthcare will be able to adapt AI completely?
In a true coach question manner, I would ask, what is your definition of completely, right? What are we defining in the word completely? Nothing is complete. Everything is a journey. Every industry will adapt to AI in some form. As we said, 40% of the things will be automated in your job. But who sets that complete and who achieves them is based on the journey of each healthcare industry. If you are in a healthcare hospital, their AI journey is different. If you are in healthcare insurance, their AI journey is different. If you are a healthcare provider like a doctor, their AI journey is different too. So the definition for complete is given by them rather than how we are projecting here. Okay.
Okay, next question is from Shailesh. He's asking everywhere in the fear to lose their job due to AI, how to tackle it, especially in construction sector.
Yeah, again, I think we spoke elaborately about the travel industry. We spoke about the healthcare industry, and now we're speaking about construction industry, right? My question to you is like, the goal is to understand how AI impacts the construction industry. So put that as a G in the goal, grow format. Do the reality check, for yourself. How is it impacting? If you don't find any answers in the options, put a couple of options. Who is the best person to talk to in the construction industry that you can go talk to? If they live nearby, go for a cup of coffee. Talk to them. Hey, I want to talk to you. Understand how AI is impacting the constructing industry. Or just ask them, what do you envision how construction industry will be in next 2 years? And the answer will be in that particular point. Let's just say you don't have anybody to talk to. How about you put a post on LinkedIn asking, hey, how does AI impact in the construction industry? A lot of times, what I see is people look for knowledge, but very rarely reach out to the network that they have. My final point through this presentation is balance your skills and knowledge by enabling your network and people power that you can build. When you combine both of them, it becomes the true cover for your success rather than solely relying on your skills and expertise and upskilling. Because remember, AI can impact your skills and adaptability, but it cannot take away the human power that you can build over a period of time. Okay.
Okay, thanks, Kamal. That I think that was the last question from the attendees, and mine is also the same thing. This is mine. My field is operations of inspection services for global projects. So we rarely come across AI in this field. So please share your views on this.
Yeah, again, we spoke about healthcare, travel, construction, and operations, right? I think in operations in our organization, Shika, they are looking towards, you know, uh, looking at, as I told about initially about toil automation, right, where the manual heavy work happens. The first goal for the organization is to identify those areas and then see how automation can replace by scripts or agents or whatever it is to make that manual work into more, a process way. For example, like in operations, right, you guys rely on reports, right? There are end of the day job reports or nightly batch process jobs or whatever it is, right? Right now, someone is skimming through the data and actually providing that report. Once you build an automated solution, that manual effort is already gone, which means without much effort, much push of a button or manual intervention, the report is already there for the operations managers to review, right? So it's all about adapting to that automation way of what your organization is working towards and how you can take advantage of it. Okay.
Okay, Kamal, thank you. I think yeah, there are lots of inspectors who are complaining that there are lots of some parts of the process are still very physically handled. So I think AI will be better developed and in this field also. So let's see. And that I think that was the last question of this session. There are some seven questions in the same questions have been typed in the chat box Q&A. So I have just read it and they are the same what we have already answered. So thank you,
Yeah.
Kamal, for this very different and informative session. So if you can unshare a screen, I can share a certificate of appreciation for you.
Before I turn the presentation to you, again, thanks so much for 100 plus people joining this presentation. Your time is valuable to me. If in case I can be of any value further, feel free to reach out to me. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I'll just share. Can you see my screen?
I think it's starting. Yes, it's starting. Yep.
So please accept a certificate of appreciation from our end as a small token of thanks for accepting our invitation to present today's PM Pit Stop session and looking forward to invite you for presenting other interesting topics in coming months. Maybe I'm not there, but I will recommend all my new BOD members to please invite you and very different. I mean, AI is totally like I have attended lots of other sessions also. They are based on information technology and IT background, but this your topic was totally different and which was very practical. So thank you, Kamal, for accepting my invitation and presenting this session. For the all the attendees who have joined to today's session, feedback form link for sharing your feedback is already shared. So please click on the link and share your feedback. And please note down 1.5 PDUs will get credited automatically in your account for attending today's session. So please look out for the mails from our PMI Mumbai chapter admin team. And so thank you once again, Kamal, for your informative session, and thank you to all the attendees who joined to today's session. And cheers, bye bye.
Thank you so much. Have a good day. Take care.
Thank you, bye.